This is a severe weather alert.
All right, folks, good evening to you. Ben Luna here with you live in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. It is 5:29, and we are tracking a series of now severe storms that are working into our viewing area. For much of today, the attention has been on the northern flank of this storm system as it has plummeted its way through portions of Montgomery County, Sumner County, Davidson County, and is continuing a path of destruction right now just northeast of Gallatin. Back close to home, though, the National Weather Service in Nashville has now issued some new severe thunderstorm warnings, and we're going to start at the top and work our way down to a few of these storms that are showing some pretty rocky patterns here over the past little bit. First and foremost, the National Weather Service has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lewis County. This also includes a portion of Hickman County and Murray County, I believe, until 6:15 tonight, and you can see this cluster of storm activity that extends across Hickman and Lewis counties. Here's downtown Hohenwald, and just right outside the city limits on the northwest side is where you run into some very, very heavy rainfall and some hail up to the north of Kimmins. Fred has got the storm track drawn on this system. The Atina community will be under the gun from this storm coming up at 5:32, Salem at 5:35, Maple Springs at 5:41, Williamsport at 5:52, Jones Valley the same, the Arkland community at 5:53, Water Valley at 5:55, Grant at 5:55, Kinderhook at 5:57, Poplar Top at 5:57, and Santa Fe coming up at around 5:59. Now, within this whole mess of the storm system, well,
not really. I was just checking.
Yeah, nothing jumping off the screen is being tornadic here, but you do want to watch for a little hail coming up into the Atina community here in just a few minutes, and some really, really heavy rain and some very, very bright lightning and some very loud lightning at that. So this is the northern storm that's going to continue to track out to the northwest here in a few minutes. Now this guy, well, this is what we've been watching here over the past several minutes. This has actually grown very concerning to us. The National Weather Service in Nashville, again, dropping a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell in Wayne County effective until 6:15. And I would go as far as to say that right now, the near 10,000 people that live in this warning polygon, this is probably the strongest storm that we are currently tracking, short of maybe the one that we'll get to in just a few moments down in Alabama. But this is actually a warned storm, and you can see some very interesting characteristics as this particular cell is now entering that much advertised, very moist, very soupy atmosphere on top of the southern mid-state tonight and northwest Alabama.
And we do need to say that includes eastern Hardin County till 5:45 as well.
Yes, where that storm presently is, because right now it's riding on the county line, and you see two severe thunderstorm warning boxes here. This is NWS Memphis. This is NWS Nashville. And so they don't cross into each other's territory. That is intensifying. So this is the Hardin County warning. This is the Wayne County warning. And Fred's got the box drawn. This is going to be at the Lutz community at 5:34, Cromwell Crossroads at 5:41, 5:48 in Collinwood, Waynesboro at 5:53. Let's go to storm relative. That's the Baron button.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's messy, but it's there.
It's broader than it was the last scanner too. I'll say that, but it's still there.
Brian, is that within range of our?
Yes, it is actually, and we do see a little bit of a low-level convergent area.
Right here.
And also near Deerfield, Lawrence County. This is not warned, but I do want to mention on reflectivity as well, you can see a really impressive hook on that one on reflectivity. Yeah, the one you're pointing at right now. That thing has a very impressive structure that we're also keeping an eye on. Doesn't have a warning right now on it, but that one is what I'm watching very closely as well.
Okay, so Nashville, the National Weather Service in Nashville is doing a really good job tonight of warning, especially in light of everything that they've got going tonight, because a very powerful and destructive tornado just literally touched down within a mile of their office. And you're going to be seeing this on the news over the next few days about how destructive those storms in Metro Nashville and northeast of Nashville toward Hendersonville and Gallatin have been. And so with that said, they are doing a good job of keeping everybody warned and these storms being watched. And so we are watching them very, very carefully here.
I'm going
over
to give
the
you
next
that
few
because it
moments.
has some processing that makes the velocity just a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
So just for a minute, I'll give you that.
Okay, all right. So we're watching two storms, okay? The one at Deerfield, that's not warned. And then we do have the cell back out here toward the Lutz community that is warned as a severe thunderstorm warning for right now. Checking to see if we've got anything. Okay, the National Weather Service in Nashville has issued a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. Let's go back to Lynx, please, immediately for Lawrence County. This is going to be for this Deerfield storm, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
And this is going to be up for
That goes until 7.
20, what now?
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I was reading the tornado watch. That goes until 6 o'clock, yeah.
Okay, so we have this storm at Deerfield that has just been warned as severe by the National Weather Service, but what they're doing is they're going as far as to say, hey, we're watching this. There could be a tornadic cell, or this could go tornadic here anytime, and that's why they put that tornadic tag on it. So if you're watching us in western Lawrence County, just northwest of downtown Lawrenceburg, points up to the northwest toward the Murray County line, you want to probably be heading towards your safe place right now, okay? This includes Deerfield, where you are currently under the gun from this particular storm. This is going to be in Lawrence County completely just to the west of downtown Deerfield, actually probably right near West End Fire Department, which is about where that marker is. Brian, if you would, Fred, if you've not, go ahead and do a push notification out
Absolutely, I got you.
on our app to get folks alerted to this storm, because I kind of have a feeling where this is probably going. Folks in the center community, I would be heading towards your safe place as well. It's going to be on top of you at 544. The Henryville community at 550, Etheridge at 552, folks in Alexander Springs at 557, the same for folks in Summertown, Liberty Hill coming up at 601, Jonestown at 602, Sandy Hook in Murray County coming up at 605 as well, as we continue to track this particular storm. And again, notice that little hooking motion coming up here. We're actually right on top of almost downtown Deerfield. Clint Alley lives on North Hood Road. I have this habit of calling out where my friends live when we do severe weather coverage. Clint, that is on top of you right now. You need to be in your safe place. If you're familiar with the North Hood Road area at the intersection of Highway 64 and North Hood, that is where we're seeing this convergence and the likely spinning action leading into what could become a tornado. Now, we do not have any sign that this has been on the ground yet. We do not have any confirmation of a funnel that's been spotted, but it is far better to err on the side of caution when dealing with storms like this in the environment in which we have tonight, okay? So, the National Weather Service continuing a new tornado or severe thunderstorm warning for Lawrence County. This is going to be in effect until 21 minutes.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Traveling 60 miles per hour, hail possible up to 3/4 of an inch in size as it makes its way in that classic almost tornado fashion.
That's moving at 35, Ben. Sorry about
35?
that. That 60 mile per hour is the wind speed.
Okay, sorry. So 35 miles per hour with 60 mile per hour winds within it. So anybody within the Red Hill area up to the Hudson community, you've got Briar Hill, that's going to be just to the south of downtown Henryville. Also center in the mix, right through here is going to be the Turnpike. And so this is staying in that classic tornado track in Lawrence County. If you've lived here any amount of time, you know what we deal with in the areas in which we deal with it, okay? And so we are seeing an extremely well-defined hook motion right here. If we can, what do you see on velocities?
It's not nearly as impressive as reflectivity is with either storm.
Okay.
Yeah, more convergence than anything else.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we are watching this. And what that is, the behind the scenes talk, that looks, the bark is a little bit more worse than the bite right now. And so we're going to be watching this guy carefully over the next few minutes. But you've got the idea in this good little thunderstorm, a little uptick in lightning there to the south of center, to the east of center as well. So we're going to watch this guy. Let's head back down the road to Wayne County and get a view on how this fella is behaving tonight. And that is definitely a hail of a storm when you consider just how much potential that hail core is right there, just to the east of Martin's Mills, to the northeast of downtown Lutz. And you are seeing, again, a large area of hail that's 3/4 of an inch in size. These storms have been very, very much hailers tonight across the region. We've seen a hail core that our friend Brett Adair lost to windshield because of a baseball-sized hail back in Mississippi earlier. So again, a couple of storms that we're concerned about. This cell that's coming out of Lutz, folks in the Collinwood area, to the south of Waynesboro, again following in that classic path, and then that's going to be right behind this guy that's currently out at Deerfield, moving its way into the northeast, moving to the northeast through the northwest portion of Lawrence County tonight. Folks in the Hohenwald area to the north of Hohenwald up into Centerville and points east of Centerville and Hickman County, and then out into western Murray County around the Hampshire area up into Santa Fe and points back toward the county line. All of those folks about to get bombarded by some really, really heavy rain. What are y'all seeing looking at the Wayne County storm in terms of velocities? Anything jumping out there?
No, it's weaker than it was when you first came on.
Okay. All right, so that is good news. It is weaker. Now, that is the Tennessee side of things. Let's look down at Alabama, because we had some rocky storms that were trying to fire up over northwest Alabama here just a little bit ago, and now we've got some decent cells that are firing back out into northeast Mississippi, from Burnsville down to Holcomb, and to the west of Iuka. And then this guy around Cherokee to the west of Muscle Shoals has been trying to gain some intensity too here over the past several minutes. Fred, do you want to switch out and talk about these real quick?
We can, but it's a lot less impressive than it was when we first came to air. It's broadened its rotation a lot. But yeah, we'll step in and talk about it. We've been watching this storm. If you've been watching social media, we earlier posted that a storm was coming out of southern Tishomingo County in toward northwest Franklin and southwest Colbert that had some broad low-level rotation. This is the same storm. It's between Cherokee and Barton right now, and just south of there, south of Highway 72. It's just west of Highway 247. That's moving up to the northeast at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. So the storm will be coming up toward the Shoals Metro. It will be coming up toward Oakland and Florence and Tuscumbia, Sheffield, and the west side of Muscle Shoals here over the next 15 minutes. However, there's not a severe thunderstorm warning for this. And also, the rotational signature that we had that was already broad when it was crossing the state line earlier is even less organized than what it was. We'll flip on storm relative velocity here and show you what's going on. And there is some broad noisy rotation here, but that's noise in the radar beam there. So we're watching it. The updraft is rotating, but there's not a reason to believe that there may be particularly a tornado with that storm, but we'll watch that very carefully. We'll go back to reflectivity and look back into northeast Mississippi, and the line itself is moving into Tishomingo County. I would imagine there are probably some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts possible with this line of thunderstorms from Short and Dosky down through the Iuka and Burnsville area, down through Hallcut, and that's moving eastward and northeastward at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. And here over the next 15 to 30 minutes, that's going to be moving into western Lauderdale County, western Colbert County as well. Places like Allsboro, Minot, up through Cherokee, Lane Springs, Wright and Waterloo, and the Cloverdale area, and then on up toward the Natchez Trace Parkway region. That's not severe warning, but we'll have to watch that for maybe some gusty straight line winds. And just like the storms that Ben was talking about in southern Middle Tennessee, any of the individual storms out ahead of the line on either side of the state line, like this one here in northwest Alabama, we'll be watching that carefully for some signs of rotation. Brian, go ahead and get the storm, the social media stuff that you had earlier ready. We're not going to take you yet. We're going to continue with radar for a minute, but I'm going to let you get ready to show that and talk about what we've had going on to the north, because while we've had our severe thunderstorm warnings, we've had some storms that have tried to rotate but haven't really had tornado warnings yet. We've had some major big league damage with some what looks like violent tornadoes up into Middle Tennessee. And the reason why we're going to talk about this is this has been at the level that this has been a national news story. So we'll take Bryan and he will talk about the video he has and take there we go. Take full screen, Bryan. I'll let you talk about what you have there.
Yeah, this is from earlier. I know a lot of us here in southern Middle Tennessee and North Alabama know a lot of people in Nashville. And like Fred said, it's been a national news story. There's been a pretty big tornado in Nashville. This is in the north side of Nashville near Hendersonville. This is as it was beginning. You can see the tornado on this T-dot camera moving to the from right to left on this camera. Notice through this video, you see some major power flashes. That's the damage it's doing to the infrastructure. You notice the lights start going out and flickering in the foreground. And this is just at the beginning of the tornado, so you can imagine as it strengthened just how strong this was. You can see the camera moving there, and notice just how long these power flashes are for. And it actually made something explode. We're not really sure what this is, but notice the flames persisting here. It was really a remarkable piece of footage there, and you can see the smoke getting sucked into the updraft of this tornado. So it really shows you the damage it's done to the infrastructure so far. And this was about 45 minutes to an hour ago. The storm is still tornado warned, but it's well off to the east now compared to the Nashville metro. It's east of Gallatin at the moment, and I think there are still tornado warnings, but it looks like it's tapering off just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Bryan. Now let's go ahead and take the Lawrenceburg Arctic Air Skycam. And Ben, let me know when you have that ready. And we're going to look at the storm that is moving north of town. If you are able to swing that back around to the north, we're dark now, so we're not going to see a whole lot, but we still have this thunderstorm with a rotating updraft. Now we're looking south right now. Ben is about to swing that around here in just a minute, so be patient with us. 63 degrees with a dew point of 60, and we talked about this earlier today. In most severe weather situations, that temperature and dew point, it's not unfavorable for severe weather, but it wouldn't really get your attention that much. But with the upper atmosphere so cold compared to other severe weather days, a 63 temperature today acts more like a 69 or 70 degree temperature would on any other severe weather day. It's going to take just a minute for the camera to focus here, but we're going to watch and see if we see any power flashes that try to illuminate a wall cloud or anything like that, because even though there's not a tornado warning, even though we haven't seen any tight low-level rotation, and we have a rain-free base, I think here, the camera still
Ben, if
it's
you
in
want,
the process of focusing.
Etheridge does have it as well. We're looking to the south and west on the Etheridge camera, which is pretty much, comparing the structure of this thing, looking right into it.
Okay.
So if you want to...
There's Etheridge.
Yeah, there you go. And you have a more in-focus view here as well, and you can kind of see in between the flashes that there is that base, right? We just saw it there in the flash in the center and to the right as well.
I'm turning you around just a little bit.
Okay.
We'll look right into it.
All right. Yeah, we're going to watch this for just a minute, see if we see anything hang out of these lower bases. No, we're dark now, and it's really hard to see things in the Tennessee Valley after dark, especially this time of year. It gets dark so early. But with the updraft itself rotating, we may have a wall cloud here. It's very likely we do. I haven't seen any tight low-level rotation, so we're not looking for a tornado or anything like that. But just for a moment, I want to watch to see what we see here with the storm coming up across north-central areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee. Keep in mind, there is a severe thunderstorm warning here, pretty much from Lawrenceburg northward in Lawrence County, Tennessee, that runs until 6 o'clock. Until 6:15, we also have the central part of Wayne County, Tennessee, under a severe thunderstorm warning. And then we also have the northern half of Lewis County and the northern half of Murray County in Tennessee under severe thunderstorm warnings as well.
There you had your wall cloud.
Okay.
All right. You're looking west, well, really northwest now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be pretty much right into the tail end of that particular cell.
Okay.
And now it's just a waiting game of getting a good lightning strike to illuminate. There you go.
Yeah, we have a rain-free lower base, but I had a clear shot there, nothing hanging out of it. So we can go back to radar. And what happens is at nighttime here, you don't just wait on a lightning flash in general. You actually wait specifically on a lightning flash that happens behind the feature you're watching for
Lauderdale and Colbert.
Okay, in order for it to be backlit. And you have to watch for that specifically. Otherwise, you're not going to see anything. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for, you say Lauderdale and Colbert?
Yep.
Okay. So new severe thunderstorm warnings coming out for Lauderdale and Colbert counties that are going to go until 6:15. It's the west side of the counties for the advancing line of thunderstorms out of Tishomingo County, Mississippi. We'll go back to the Columbus Air Force Base Doppler radar, and we'll zoom out a little farther because it's not this storm, it's this line back here that's approaching Waterloo and the state line. I imagine that's probably moving eastward at a good 40 miles an hour, moving northeastward here. So crossroads by 550.
Sorry. There you go.
That's from the back of the line anyways, Ben. So if you want to do a squall track along the leading edge and go northeast at 40, that'll be great. And you may have to then go into the right click of the squall button and change that show range to about 50, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it takes a moment to do that for y'all watching. Here we go. That narrows it down to where we're not looking at subdivisions. We're looking at populated communities. Iuka, that's coming on across you now. Here over the next few minutes. Waterloo by 6 o'clock. Walnut Grove by 6 o'clock. Cypress Inn at 6:21. Central Heights 6:25. Fairview at 6:33. Zip City 6:35. St. Florine at 6:41. And West Point at 6:45. I think the main threat with that's going to be damaging straight line winds up to 60 miles an hour. The strongest part of that line is going to be north of the Florence and the immediate Shoals metro area. That's going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning out here for this far western tip, basically Waterloo westward in Lauderdale County, and then Lane Springs north and westward in Colbert County. New severe thunderstorm warning there. And that's going to go until 6:15. So we'll clear off the track. It's for that line of thunderstorms back out into Tishomingo County, Mississippi. The thunderstorms back here between the Shoals Metro and Cherokee are not severe. Ben, will you hit that now button and make sure we're current on fresh data, just to make sure? There we go. All right, so we may need to draw that, because that's moving closer. We need to draw that track again. Sorry about that. The radar data got behind, so we probably need to draw that track again from the leading edge. These are updated times, so the times I'm about to call out now, pay attention to these. And
50.
40. 40, lower 40s is good. All right, and Ben's going to adjust that with the show range back to 50 to narrow down outside of the smaller subdivisions and communities. All right, Allsboro 602, Cypress Inn is 612, Cherokee 614, Central Heights 620, Fairview 624, Zip City 628. This sounds a lot better here. 641 for Florence, but again, most of that's going to stay on the north side of town. St. Florine 644, and Loretta, if this storm line holds together, time of arrival for that at 648. But there are other thunderstorms off to the southwest ahead of that line that may be moving into the area. That's moving into Iuka right now. There's not a severe thunderstorm warning for Tishomingo County, but there is for this far western part of Lauderdale County, Alabama, far northwestern areas of Colbert County, Alabama. So we'll clear that track off. No tornado warnings at this time.
We are concerned. Our concern is growing with this Wayne County cell at this point.
Yeah, on our live radar, we're picking up more signs of some lower level rotation.
Well, let's go to that there if y'all have it.
The WSV3 source is kind of hopping and skipping. But you can see there, even though this is base velocity, you can see right there on Highway 13 the area of interest right in that hook.
Yeah, that's definitely a rotational signature there on Highway 13. It's about halfway in between Waynesboro and Collinwood. It's just south of the school complexes there on the south side of Waynesboro. That's going to be moving northeastward at about 40 miles an hour. So if that holds together...
Here, I got you on WSV3 for a storm relative.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot clearer right there. That's crossing Highway 13. Now it's going to be riding up the trace in eastern areas of Wayne County up toward the Ovilla area on the county line, and then over into western areas of Lawrence County here over the next probably 20 minutes or so.
Just drawing some roads out ahead of it.
Yeah, here's Highway 64 to the north is crossing 13 now. That's crossing, it's going to be approaching County Highway 1767. And this is a really rural part of eastern Wayne County here, but it's coming just to the south of the school complexes here on the south side of Waynesboro. You got Green River Road here. You have State Highway 13 that goes down to Collinwood out of Waynesboro. Here's the trace up toward Ovilla, and it's that stretch between the Big Bend in 13 where it goes from Collinwood up to Waynesboro up toward Ovilla that we're concerned about for an intensifying low-level rotation, and we'll have to watch that carefully. and see if that tries to tighten up and possibly cause tornado concerns. Remember, our live radar here out of Lawrenceburg is looking a lot lower in the storm than the next rads are. The lowest next rad beam we have here is over 5,000 feet. It's closer to 6,000 to 7,000 feet. The live radar we have scanning out of Lawrenceburg that we own here is several thousand feet lower, a lot closer to the ground with that. And we have a new warning of some type coming across. Looks like it may be a new severe thunderstorm warning, not sure which county. New severe thunderstorm warning that includes Tishomingo County. That's the line we've already talked about back to the west, so we won't jump back to focus on that. We're watching this low level rotation. And Ben, I'm going to let you talk about that, and I'm going to send a note to the National Weather Service in Nashville and chat to let them know we're watching that.
All right, so if you... Yeah.
Brian, jump on radar control because I'm not free to control radar.
I don't like that at all. So right at the bend of 13, right at the south of Highway 13.
Here, I'll throw you back up some of those streets.
Yeah, throw me back up there real quick.
Let's see. Here you go. Here's where it is right now. There's that Green River Road. County Highway 1767.
And we're seeing this move to the northeast.
Yep.
Still at about, what, 40?
Yeah, about 40. That's about right.
All right, so about to run parallel with the Natchez Trace, Chalk Creek Road. Jimmy, if you're watching, tell me what's on Chalk Creek. Is that just a point of reference or what we got there? Because 911 director is flagging me about Chalk Creek Road, I'm assuming in this area. So I'm going to wait to see what he has to say here, possibly about what's going on in this area. And with the newest data, yeah, that comes up a little bit more well-defined here as that moves to the north there. Okay, that was just a point of reference. So we don't have any damage reports from this particular cell, but I would not be surprised here over the course of the next few minutes if a tornado warning is not at least considered, maybe even issued for this particular cell here as that runs its way out of Wayne County and into Lawrence County. Again, downtown Collinwood is just off the frame here, just to the south of us.
I'll throw you on links 2 here.
All right, and so here is the area of concern that's in the bend on Highway 13. The Natchez Trace Parkway just to my right here, or just to the right of that. If this particular storm continues to move in the direction in which we think it is, folks in Ovilla back to Deerfield, then points up into the northwest part of Lawrence County, you're going to have to be dealing with yet another potential tornadic storm here over the course of the next few minutes. But this is one that we are watching. This came out of Hardin County just a few minutes ago. It's made its way now from Lutz back up into the north area of Collinwood. We're not having a warning yet. Nashville has not issued a warning from this as of right now for tornado.
They have acknowledged our message about the rotation, though.
Okay. All right, so they have acknowledged at this point. And
tornado warning for Wayne and Lawrence now.
Okay. All right.
That must be this one then. Yep.
All right, so the National Weather Service in Nashville is issuing a new tornado warning for this storm. What is the time of...
And has it come across? Let me get that. That is the tornado warning until 6:30 for eastern Wayne and north central Lawrence.
And everybody's phone's going off in the studio. All right, so until 6:30, the National Weather Service in Nashville is issuing a tornado warning for Wayne and Lawrence counties for this particular storm. If you are watching us tonight in Wayne and especially western Lawrence County.
That goes until 6:30, by the way.
Until 6:30, you need to be in your safe place right now. So this warning polygon does include the city of Lawrenceburg, the city of Etheridge, all the way up to Summertown, points all the way back to the west, where the particular rotation core is, and that's going to continue to march its way pretty much beelining toward Ovilla and Deerfield. So folks in that area, you've got Pea Ridge as well in that part of the county. You've got Center, Henryville as well, Red Hill, all those folks, Etheridge, and even Lawrenceburg. Lawrenceburg is in the polygon. You need to be in your safe place. Head to the middle of your home, the lowest level of your home, keeping away from windows and doors, okay? First and foremost, remain calm. This is the first tornado warning that we've had in this part of the world in several months, if I'm not mistaken.
Early June.
Yeah, it's been since early June. And so if you don't go through those ideals and what to do when those warnings are issued from time to time. Anxiety kind of builds up, you get a little nervous, and you start to worry about, okay, family, friends, etc. Go ahead and call them, let them know what's going on. We have a Doppler indicated tornado that is now working its way through southern Wayne County, south central Wayne County, and will soon to be crossing into points of southwest Lawrence County. Fred has got the tornado safety parameters up on the screen for us. The best place to be, of course, is a basement or storm shelter, certified safe room. If you don't have one of those, small interior room on the lowest level of your home, as far to the center of the home as possible, keeping away from windows and doors. Also, you want to protect your head from flying debris. You want to be able to cover your head. If you don't have a helmet, then I would grab maybe something from the kitchen, because science has shown that the majority of tornado deaths are from cranial injuries, okay? So you want to be able to exercise extreme precaution in this and make sure you go to the safest place possible, keeping you and your family safe. That protects your head from flying debris. Leave vehicles and mobile homes. If you are in Lawrence County, you have plenty of time of heads up for this particular storm, okay? So you can go ahead and go to that reinforced structure, maybe a neighbor's house down the street, and that's where you need to be to ride out this particular storm. All right, so that is the most important part of tornado safety. Now, looking at this was a little bit more well-defined a second ago.
No, it's more defined now.
Okay, well, here?
We're right here where my cursor is. We're actually getting outbounds to show.
We got a little bit
and
of
this
that
is
there.
with base, not even storm relative.
Okay, all right, so, well, I couldn't see that because...
Yeah, it's stronger now.
Okay.
Hear the sirens here now in Lawrenceburg.
Yep.
Yep.
EMA is setting off the tornado sirens. And so...
And we're also behind the scenes keeping an eye on the camera, looking to the west into that. So if we see anything, I'll let you know. We got that on links 3.
Go ahead, and before we go to cameras, I want to do another track on this, because we do now have the tornado sirens going off. If you would hand me my phone, please, sir. Thank you.
All right, so times of arrival for this: the Highland community at 6:07, Ovilla 6:08, Deerfield 6:13, the center community at 6:16, Henryville 6:21, the north side of Lawrenceburg. I think it's going to be just north of town, but Lawrenceburg, course of least regret. Estimated time of arrival 6:23, Etheridge 6:26, Summertown 6:28, Alexander Springs 6:29, New Prospect 6:30. Again, this is a tornado warning for eastern parts of Wayne County in Tennessee, in the northern half of Lawrence County in Tennessee. A tornado warning until 6:30 for this intensifying rotation out here near the Highland area in eastern portions of Wayne County, moving east-northeast at 40 miles an hour. It will be coming across the northern half of Lawrence County over the next 30 minutes here in Tennessee. Ovilla, Deerfield, Center, north side of Lawrenceburg, Etheridge, Alexander Springs. I think that's the main point of concern. But as far south as Pea Ridge and Lawrenceburg proper, as far north as Summertown, course of least regret, be in your safe place like Ben talked about with the safety rules. Be there until we give you the all clear tornado warning until 6:30.
Okay, all right. You are watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel now at 6:02. I'm Ben Luna in the Weather Center alongside Fred Gossage and Bryan Wilson as we are tracking the potential Doppler indicated tornado that is now working its way through the east central portion of Wayne County, just to the north of the Natchez Trace. Right here is the rotation, and that's going to be on that northwest or northeast track. And what Fred said, the course of least regret, because you have those atmospheric conditions that like to twist and modify the direction of these storms. So even though we draw straight lines, doesn't mean that these storms can wibble wobble a little bit and not follow that straight line to a degree, okay? So we want you to be in your safe place, from Lawrenceburg all the way to Summertown, from the county line on the east side all the way back to the Wayne County line in Lawrence County. And then folks in the southeast or the east central portion of Wayne County, you need to be in your safe place right now, just literally a stone's throw from Ovilla. There at the Highland community, you've got the Highland Methodist Church there, you've got the fire hall, you've got the gas station out there at the Natchez Trace where all that meets. And I think that's going to be coming just smack dab right, if not on top of it, pretty daggum close to it to the south. And so, again, folks in that part of the county, you need to be in your tornado safe place right now. This is where we're seeing this near the Granny Scott Hollow area of Wayne County. And yeah, that is intensifying.
Yeah, it's very much this kind of, for lack of a better term, bookend type thing where you might have individual spots of rotation in a greater mesocyclone. This is kind of wrapping around there. So that's kind of an interesting factor when working with these types of almost embedded, in a way, type of tornadic signatures.
And you know, I'll tell you, I was watching the other day some of our old weather footage back from, I believe, 2021, the first part of 21, and that tornado on our radar looks so much like this. So very, very, very similar. We do not have confirmation of anything on the ground. Our radar is able to distinguish if we have had a tornado touchdown in certain circumstances by debris that's lofted into the atmosphere. And we're not seeing anything.
Nope. Not at this time.
Not at this time. And also, too, this is a very rural part of Wayne County. You've got a lot of hills and hollers out through here. And so, but once you cross into this portion of Lawrence County, you're going to be running into some very, very populated parts of the region, especially Deerfield to Center and Henryville. You've got several neighborhoods just to the northwest of Lawrenceburg off Highway 64 that are going to be worth watching to see how this moves close to. And then just a lot of sporadic communities out through this portion of the county. If you are just now joining us, we are tracking a Doppler indicated tornado. We've been watching this particular cell for several minutes as it formed over portions of Hardin County. It's now moved all the way through Wayne County and is preparing to cross the Lawrence County line near the Natchez Trace. If you are watching us in the Highland area, you need to be in your safe place 10 minutes ago. Okay, this is on top of you now. Ovilla, the same. Folks in Deerfield, you've got just a few minutes to prepare. Deerfield, you need to be in your safe place, as well as the center community, arriving at 6:16 and 6:19. Henryville at 6:24. Clipping Lawrenceburg potentially at 6:27 tonight. Etheridge at 6:29. Summertown at 6:31. Alexander Springs, if this storm holds together, we're going to see this be crossing Highway 43 north at around 6:32 and then arriving in the Pleasant Valley community coming up at 6:35. So again, several minutes between then and now. It is 6:06, and so plenty of time for this storm to either develop more so or fall apart. We are watching the potential for some hail as well.
Just very briefly, since we're into repeat mode now, severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Lewis and Murray counties, no longer in effect. Storms moving into northwest Alabama. Severe thunderstorm warning still for western Lauderdale and Colbert counties. That's a gusty straight line wind threat. Severe thunderstorm warning still does not include the shoals. Just want to make sure nobody feels left out. Those warnings, they're kind of much lower end than what we have with the tornado warning, but I'll get you back to that, Ben.
Okay, all right. That gives me a chance to cycle through and just see if I've got anything. Lots of concern about Pulaski. We've not mentioned anything about Giles County, very little about Columbia. You're not under the gun from this particular storm. This is the most powerful that we are tracking at this particular time, okay? So this is why we've not mentioned those communities, especially Pulaski. Nothing going on really in Giles County to speak of. Murray County's got some storms rolling in, but as Fred said, they just dropped the warning on those. That was severe warned just a few minutes ago. You see that classic structure that is indicating still some very, very good rotation in the atmosphere rolling right into the Ovilla community. Folks, Deerfield to Ovilla, West End, Ray's Produce is out there. I'm trying to run down through my mind. You've got dollar stores. That dollar store, and I say dollar store, and you're like, which one? The one in town or the one here, 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 and here? There's like 30 of them. But no, there are. We counted the other day. And so anywhere that Fred has drawn is going to be your primary area of concern, give or take here, as that continues to roll into Lawrence County. If you are driving and watching us tonight, on Highway 64, you're about to drive right into it at the county line. Yeah,
and in terms of the velocity, I've been watching this behind the scenes, and I won't bore you with all the science jargon, but it looks like a new updraft is forming out ahead of it, and it's kind of doing this cycle, so to speak, which means the danger is still there, but it might be transitioning from one mesocyclone to another, and Fred circled it exactly right there. That's the new area of inflow. The old one is off to the north, just south of Highway 64, still in Wayne County, and we're getting this new updraft forming here. So we're kind of seeing it shape up into this more supercellular structure as compared to just a few minutes ago when it was this bookend type structure. And again, that's a bunch of science jingo, but I won't bore you with that, right? Point is, the threat's still there, south of 64 now in Lawrence County. They're on the east side of the county line.
All right, so, and again, to summarize what Bryan said, you've got out with the old and in with the new. Sometimes we see these storms cycle into a couple of different areas of rotation. That is not a multi-vortex tornado. That is where you have one area of rotation that kind of gives off to another within the same cell. And again, we've not had any indication of there being any damage at this point. We've not had any confirmation of anything on the ground. We are watching that very carefully. But No, kind of caught my eye there for a second.
Yeah, that was noise out ahead in the inflow area.
Yep. All right, so essentially what's happening is what was at Highland is kind of now shifting a little bit further south, and it's now coming its way back up into the Ovilla area on the south side. So kind of handing off one to the other. And so when we start to say and maybe change our tone and direction about where things are going, it's because we've seen this cycle event happen where one has now gone to the other. So with that said, we're going to include some new communities in the storm track now that's shifting a little bit further south, and I think this is going to take it closer into Lawrenceburg proper and that more densely populated central portion of the county. Still at Ovilla and Deerfield at 613 and 616. The center community potentially at 620, Henryville at 626, Lawrenceburg. And I think folks in Lawrenceburg need to be very, very attentive to this storm, okay? This is one that you want to be inside, away from windows and doors, and in your safe place with, especially with this more southern track potentially, 627. Etheridge at 630. Still looking Alexander Springs at 634. Summertown about the same potentially. Pleasant Valley at 636. The Liberty Hill community, that's going to be out toward Top Gun, and Weagleville, Tennessee at 639. And the same for folks in Jonestown coming up there as well. Fred, if we can, let's take a camera shot or two.
Yeah, and then we're probably going to talk about Northwest Alabama just after that.
Okay, all right, so we do have some potential spinning down in that part of our viewing area. All right, this is looking Lawrenceburg. This is the Lawrenceburg sky cam.
You're looking west-southwest or so.
All right, so we've got some lightning flashing, and so we're going to be looking for that rain-free base, anything that we see any lowering or a potential wall cloud.
Yeah, let me pan back to the left because it looked a little lower back to the left.
Yep, this is the co-op feed center. And so we're looking just beyond this and right in here.
Yeah, it looks like dead ahead from the camera should be right into the notch of this particular cell. So we'll see. Yeah, you can kind of see parts of the base there with that lightning. And you really need a backlit view of this, right? If the lightning's in front of it, it saturates it. So kind of got to get lucky, but you do sort of see there right in the center the beginnings of the base of this thing. And as it gets closer, of course, the vision will become a little bit clearer. But really remain, and of course, it being 6:13 in December does not help.
All right, so it takes just a second there. And again, looking at storms at night, it's nothing short of a miracle to get the exact lighting conditions for us to see what we need to see. There we go.
That was a good shot there. Yeah,
that was
right
real
around
good.
where you're pointing looks to be the main base of where this mesocyclonic signature would probably be.
Okay. All right, so this is what we're watching. We've got multiple eyes behind the scenes watching this storm. Again, remind you, the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for Lawrence County, in addition to Wayne County, effective until
6:30.
We got a report from our friend Bill Phillips at the EMA. Wall cloud reported looking south from the West End Fire Hall in Lawrence County. Possible funnel forming, but spotter cannot confirm rotation due to the fact that it's dark. Wall cloud at Fish Trap Road and Kingman Road. So that's going to be central west Lawrence County, if my geography serves me correctly.
Yep. So we're looking we're looking straight at it. This warning is in effect for yet another 15 minutes. About 6:30, we'll see this warning expire. All right, so we still want folks to be in your safe place, as far away from windows and doors as possible. We do have a potential wall cloud that is formed, potential funnel, but Skywarn spotters unable to get a good view of it because of course, it being nighttime. We're continuing to watch this behind the scenes, and we'll continue to keep you updated on this storm. Let's go back to radar real quick. And
switch back to Lynx 2, and I want to get it ready to double box so we can keep radar up and keep this camera up.
All right, so we still have, right here.
Yeah.
Crossing, it's literally right on top of West End Fire Hall right now. So if you're in the area of the West End Fire Department, that's where the concern is.
Yeah.
The potential rotation is located right on top of West End Fire Hall. Folks in Deerfield up to Center, and then definitely Red Hill toward Etheridge. You need to be in your safe place right now, okay? As far away from windows and doors as possible, the lowest level of your home, and keeping away from the outside due to this potentially violent cell as it comes across. Again, we don't have any confirmation of anything being on the ground at this time, but we will continue to keep you updated in how this forms.
Yeah, let's take Lynx 1 for just a minute. Now, there's not a warning on this cell, and you can take this in the box. Yeah, Ben's pointing that out. This is a rotation we're watching here on the east side of Florence, down in Lauderdale County, right on the Tennessee River. This is just southeast of North Alabama Medical Center. I'm just pointing this out because this is near a lot of population. If this were to spin up, there wouldn't be a lot of advance warning, but we're going to be watching that moving northeastward and in the general direction of up toward Killen. If this tightens up, tornado warning might have to be issued here, so I'll do a track, and then we'll get back to Lawrence County, Tennessee in just a moment, I promise. But again, this is not a tornado warning, but it's a rotating thunderstorm we're watching. Killen, time of arrival 6:24, Bailey Springs 6:25, Aqua Vista 6:27, Parkertown 6:29, Center Star 6:33, Elgin 6:35, Kingtown and Arkdale 6:37, Whitehead 6:41, Lexington 6:43, Rogersville 6:43. We'll watch it carefully. If it tries to tighten up, tornado warning could be required. That's not the case yet. So, Ben, I'll toss back to you, and we'll track Lawrence County, Tennessee.
All right, cool. All right, still no reports of any damage.
Lynx 2, please.
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely. There we go.
I will also say, while you're looking at that, the rotation with the Lawrence County storm is definitely a bit more messy and broad at this time, but it's still there, and it could tighten up at any moment. These things like to cycle up and down again.
Well, and that's what we've seen constantly here over the past few minutes, is how these storms have been nothing, and then boom, all at once, there is something and a reason to be concerned about them. And again, that's just part of the atmosphere and the environment to which these storms are flying in tonight across the Tennessee Valley region. That's why we are fully staffed here in the Weather Center, which, by the way, this is, I guess, our first official severe weather event in our new facility. Kind of getting how things are working for us and what's working the best, and trying to figure out what's good.
All right, so Ben, while you're going over information, I'll do another storm track here.
Thank
and
you.
again,
I was hoping you would do that real quick.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I was just trying to organize and get things set so I can watch multiple things. Here's the latest storm track on the broad rotation coming across west central areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee. Again, this is still a tornado warning till 6:30. It's over the Deerfield area now, moving up towards Center by 6:23, Henryville 6:29, Etheridge by 6:33, Alexander Springs and Summertown by 6:37, Pleasant Valley 6:40, Liberty Hill 6:42, Jonestown 6:42, Sandy Hook 6:45, and Campbellsville at 6:47. Again, not as tight as what it once was about 15 minutes ago, but there is still a broad rotation there. It could still tighten up. So if you're in these areas, pretty much Highway 64 and northward in Lawrence County, Tennessee, especially north of downtown Lawrenceburg, I think the main concern is Deerfield to the north side of north side of Lawrenceburg, south side of Etheridge, over to Pleasant Valley, and then northward up to Center, Henryville, Alexander Springs, south side of Summertown. That's the main area of concern we're watching to see if this tightens back up. could do so with just seconds notice. Tornado warning is in place. You need to stay in your safe place. Small room, lowest floor, such as bathroom, hallway, closet near the center of the building, lowest floor, away from windows. No mobile homes, no vehicles. Cover your head and neck with something sturdy to protect yourself from flying debris. But that's the situation there.
All right, so I want to give you a few points of reference. Obviously, so the radar emanates right here, and you can see the little cone of silence that the radar is located at WLX in Lawrenceburg. They're next to McDonald's. This area right here, the radar actually hits part of the ridge at Crockett Park. So all of this area here is David Crockett State Park. So when you leave Crockett Park and look to the northwest, that's where you're seeing this potential rotation at, and still fairly well defined on reflectivity. I mean, we can look at it and see pretty much right where it's at as it's moving across the west central portion of Lawrence County at this point.
I want to mention something very quickly as well, because we've gotten some reports of a wall cloud down near the West Point area. The rotation is substantially north of there. It's well north of what the West Point area. There is a line of thunderstorms coming into the West Point area, and a lot of people here understandably get a wall cloud confused with a shelf cloud. If you see a big wall of cloud on the entire horizon coming at you, that's not a wall cloud, even though it kind of looks like a wall. That's not why we call it a wall cloud. That's actually a shelf cloud. That's not a sign of rotation. That's a sign of rain-cooled outflow and gusty straight-line winds. A wall cloud's going to be centered with a rotation, and that's not down near West Point. That's up here near the Deerfield and the center areas, up near the Highway 64 area. So I just wanted to clarify that point, because we are getting some reports of a wall cloud down near the West Point area.
All right, so yeah, not at West Point and Pea Ridge. This area of rotation still between Center and Deerfield at this point. Looks like it's trying to wobble a little bit, maybe to the north, just a smidge. Brian, are you seeing what I'm seeing there? Or am I just kind of looking off?
You're kind of right there. It's kind of sort of that bookend thing again. It's going through these cycles where you have a little bit of rotation north, you have a little bit south, and it's hard to pin down exactly where in that broader mesocyclone a stronger rotation is. So it's kind of, you're kind of on the right track there. It's very much one of those broad type of things.
Okay, so we're wobble wobbling. Let's go back to reflectivity or velocity for a second, if I can get my product straight here.
And everything is just really loud and noisy and broad right now. No identifiable strong low-level rotation. There's some noise northwest of Red Hill out here, but that's not actual true rotation. That's pixel noise right there.
Yeah, so it's not as defined as it was for sure a few moments ago. Again, from this once fairly defined tornadic storm, National Weather Service in Nashville reports pretty much the same thing that we're seeing. The storm has weakened. Unless there is a recycle and it changes, then they will allow the warning to expire coming up here in about 7 or 8 minutes at 6:30. So that is something of course to be thankful for, and we still have no confirmation of there being anything on the ground or actually any damage reports. And I know we have a ton of folks who are out looking for any potential damage. And I've got a live feed to folks who are in the field watching this as well, and not seeing anything that jumps off the screen as being just uber well defined at this point, and still nothing of note as far as damage is concerned.
And to be honest with you, I think that little appendage that's stretching across 64 is going to be the news cycle. So that's kind of what I was talking about and what you were talking about.
Down here?
That general vicinity is kind of what I was talking about when I say it's just going through these cycles. None of them seem to have, now the danger of course is still there, the warning is still ongoing, but none of these cycles seem to have really taken a hold of the atmosphere and affirmatively put down something noticeable, and there's the tornado right there. It's just this broad area. That's why the warning box is so large, and that's why you need to respect the polygon, as our friend down in Birmingham says, James Spann. That's kind of why you need to respect these, because they can go from south to north to west to east in 5 to 10 minutes notice.
Yeah, exactly. Brian said that absolutely perfect. And so in the case of tonight, the thing is kind of riding the whole cell, essentially. You've got one part that becomes active, it dies out, and then at the same time, the way atmospheric dynamics works, it wants to pick up and shift on the other side of it. So that's what we're tracking and watching very carefully for. Again, the National Weather Service indicating that unless something changes with this, they see no reason to continue the warning, which would expire promptly at 6:30. Lawrence County EMA reports they've got some hail reports, only heavy rain and wind below severe criteria from Lawrence County Sky One spotters who are actually on the field or in the field on this particular cell. And so really, I think Nashville's going to let this warning expire.
And I think that's the right decision.
Do you want to switch out and let's talk about Bama real quick?
That has actually weakened a good bit as well. We can do an overview here and do that if you'd like to.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Lauderdale County storm, well, let's look at it from another angle. Let's go to...
You want to check high top? I just checked high top, and I'll switch you there on Lynx 1. It has... Okay, you got it on Lynx 2? Yep. It has a much better view of it, and it's actually a fairly noticeable mid-level mesocyclone. If you check storm relative, you see what I'm talking about there. It's much more noticeable there on a high top.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're going to hold it here and see what they do because the Lawrence County rotation is weakening. They're probably going to let that expire. That is not a weakening circulation there over the Killen area. That's right over the split where you got 43 that goes north up into Tennessee. You got 72 that goes east out toward Athens and Huntsville. That is a strong rotation, and that's now moved northeastward, so that's going to be north of Killen. That's going to be north of the police department, north of the McDonald's and the Chevron out there. Let's go a little bit tighter, Ben, and see some of our roads in our smaller communities and try to center up on the rotation itself. Let's pan down a little bit or the other way. Yeah, that's going to be coming up out of the Killen area toward Antioch and Parkertown, and then up toward areas like Mitchelltown, Kingtown, up toward the Lexington area. And we're probably going to want to get ready to start watching that Lexington sky cam here in just a little bit, but not just yet. It's a little far away. But that's a pretty tight rotation, though. We're watching a few thousand feet above ground level here, so we don't have an especially low-level view of the storm, but that's still a pretty tight rotation. They are going to let the Lawrence County, Tennessee tornado warning expire at 6:30. No word yet from National Weather Service in Huntsville of if they're going to consider a warning for this or not. But as a course of least regret, I would be ready to get to your safe place here if this continues. Let's go to correlation coefficient and make sure we aren't missing anything. And it's just noise. I don't see any signs of a debris signature. I just want to make sure. So we go back to storm relative velocity, zoom out a little bit so that we can do a storm track on it. And that's even tighter. So let's take from the point, just ahead of the point of that rotation on a manual fan track, east-northeast at 40.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, we have so many storm tracking buttons on the Lynx system. It's easy to get them mixed up like that. All right, so there you go. Yeah, that's good right there. All right, so here are some times of arrival for this potential rotation we're watching carefully. Center Star by 6:30, Elgin by 6:35, the Kingtown area 6:36, Arkdale at 6:37, Whitehead 6:40, Lexington 6:41, Grassy at 6:45, Anderson at 6:46, Bonnertown 6:48, Powell at 6:49, Cedar Grove, and then you're starting to get over here in the northwestern areas of Limestone County. Cedar Grove 6:50, Good Springs 6:53, Cairo at 6:56. Again, potential for some rotation here. We'll have to watch carefully. National Weather Service is watching it, but they're not pulling the trigger on a warning at this time. But we're going to have to watch that very carefully as that moves east-northeast to 40 miles an hour. That's going to be getting very close out here to where our associate Sam Camp lives. So Sam, if you get any pics or video of that, or if you get any reports, be sure to share that with us via our internal Discord chat and things so we can get that information. Looks like we have a tornado warning for Lauderdale County now. So new tornado warning for Lauderdale County in northwestern Alabama. This is going to go, it looks like, until 7 o'clock. It's for this rotation right here. Possible tornado just northeast of the Killen area. We were just given a storm track on that. That's that couplet right there. northwest of the Center Star area, northeast of Killen. That's moving to the northeast about 40 miles an hour. That's going to be crossing Alabama Highway 101 between Lexington and Elgin near the Kingtown area, moving off to the northeast. Then it's going to be getting up here toward the Anderson region, not far from the Fish Krill restaurant. You know I'm a big boy. If you watch me for a few years, I'm going to call out some restaurants as the storm gets closer to it, so you know where it is. That's Highway 207 right there. That becomes Tennessee Highway 11 once you get up into Giles County. But that rotation is going to stay just to the north of Elgin, just to the north of Rogersville, moving up toward the north side of Center Star. Now it's north of Brooks High School, moving up toward the Kingtown area, moving toward Whitehead. But the polygon is just to the north here. I think it's a little more east-northeast than maybe what the polygon is drawn. But as far north as places like Arkdale, Lexington, Grassy, Powell, I need you in your safe place. That's a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet, near the center of the building, away from windows. You want to be out of mobile homes and out of vehicles. For those of you that may be hearing sirens in Lauderdale County, back in Florence, back in St. Florine, back in the Cloverdale area, back in Waterloo, this is way off to the east of you and moving away. This does not include that Quad City, immediate Shoals metro area. It does not include western Lauderdale County. This is for the eastern and northeastern areas of Lauderdale County. Tornado warning until 7 o'clock for this rotation here northeast of Killen, north of Center Star, moving off to the northeast at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. Haven't seen any damage reports with this at this time. But again, it doesn't take long at all for this to drop a tornado. So don't wait until you hear something outside. Don't wait until you see something. It's dark now. You're not going to see anything in time if there is a tornado there. You need to be going through your safety plan now. Get in that shelter location now. Don't wait. If you're driving here along Highway 64, Alabama Highway 64, from Lexington eastward out toward the Anderson area, you don't need to do that. Stop, find a sturdy structure to get to. This is north of Highway 72. If you're driving Alabama 101, Elgin northward up toward Lexington and northward up into southern Tennessee, you need to stop here before you get out of Elgin. You need to stop in Elgin and wait for the storm to pass. And that's going to be the same. Don't take Alabama 207 north out of Rogersville up toward the Anderson area, up toward the state line. Let the storm pass over the next 30 minutes. So we'll say that the rotation is just a touch broader than it was a few minutes ago, but there's still cause of concern for a tornado warning there. So tornado warning is going to continue until 7:30. For Killen proper,
I've got you the Lexington camera when you're ready.
Okay.
Looking southwest.
All right, for Green Hill proper, Killen proper, Highway 43 west, the danger from this storm is over. You can go ahead and clear. Let's go ahead and take that Lexington Skycam on the Arctic Air Skycam network. And this is looking back toward the southwest, toward that rotation. Now, we're not going to see anything, but we're going to watch to see if we see.
Actually, I'm going to throw you up on the 3. There we go. You got it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's looking into the general vicinity of.
Okay. This is looking back to the southwest here. We're going to see if we see any rotation, anything. Well, if we see any lowering of the cloud base in amongst the lightning. We're starting to get heavy rain in here now, so we may not be able to see anything. Dew point is 67 here in eastern areas of Lauderdale County. Excuse me, temperature is 67. Dew point is 63, and wind is out of the due south, so there is cause for concern that the storm has the potential to produce a tornado. Tornado warning continues for the eastern and northeastern part of Lauderdale County and northwest Alabama until 7 o'clock. And then if you were wondering about what's going on in southern middle Tennessee, the tornado warning that had been in effect for Lawrence County, Tennessee, that has now been allowed to expire. There's no longer a tornado warning in Lawrence County, Tennessee. The only warning we have in the entire viewing area for tornado warning is eastern areas of Lauderdale County, Alabama. So we'll clear the Skycam off here, go back to radar, and look at the storm. And the rotation's a bit broad now, so we'll see if this continues to hold together or if it weakens and we get to let the warning drop. But for right now, your rotation is north of Center Star here, coming up on the Kingtown area on Alabama Highway 101. And then it's going to move up here toward the places like the south side of Lexington, the Grassy community, and the Anderson communities here over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Again, tornado warning until 7 o'clock. Haven't seen any reports of damage coming across at this time. but sometimes damage reports get delayed. So don't wait until we hear damage and confirmation that there's a tornado there before you take shelter. You need to be going through that tornado safety plan now. And we've mentioned it a few times now. If you're new to the area, I know a lot of people move here from time to time. You may have come from an area of the country that doesn't get tornado activity that often or at all. And this may be new to you. This may be frightening to you because before today, this area really hasn't had tornado activity since back in the spring. If you're in this tornado warning, you need to act immediately. Be calm. Take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay, but you need to move quickly to a place of safety. That is a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet near the center of the building on the lowest floor you can. If you're on the second floor, you go down to the first floor. Stay away from windows. Stay away from sliding glass doors. And it looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Wayne, Lawrence, and Giles counties, Tennessee. We'll get to that in just a moment. We need to go through a tornado safety here. If you're in a mobile home or vehicle, you have to get out of those. Those are not safe things to stay in during tornado situations or even high wind situations. You also want to protect your head and neck with something sturdy to protect yourself from flying debris. Like Ben mentioned earlier, and I mentioned a lot because I come from down in central Alabama, and we learned this lesson over the years the hard way a lot, including April 27th, 2011. Most of the people that are seriously injured or are killed in tornado situations, it's because they get severely injured by flying debris hitting them in the head and neck region that causes severe injury. So you want to protect your head and neck with something sturdy to protect yourself from flying debris. It can be something as simple as a $5 bicycle helmet, but if you don't have that, if you don't have anything else in your house, pillows, blankets, a metal cooking pot, something like that, but covering your head and neck increases your chances of being okay if your home is hit. But we don't have confirmation of a tornado down. We just have a rotational signature. Here's this new severe thunderstorm warning that's up for, it clips the far, far east part of Wayne County, Tennessee, but the storm is actually out of Wayne County and moving away. So the main part of this warning is central portions of Lawrence County, Tennessee, and central portions of Giles County, Tennessee, northern parts, basically from Pulaski northward in Giles County, and then from Loretto all the way up through Lawrenceburg to Alexander Springs in Lawrence County, a new severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to go until 7 o'clock. This is for storms back farther down the line from the one that earlier produced the tornado warning. This may produce hail to quarter size and winds of up to 60 miles per hour from Loretto and West Point up through Leoma, Lawrenceburg, New Prospect, the Deerfield Center areas up through Etheridge, and Pleasant Valley up through Alexander Springs to the south side of Summertown, and then over through Bodenham, Pulaski up toward the Linville area. That's the main area of concern, but that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Our tornado warning is down here in eastern and northeastern areas of Lauderdale County, Alabama. That's the tornado warning, the flashing red polygon, and that's going to be until 7 o'clock. For the potential tornado, the rotation we've had north of Center Star moving up toward generally areas near Anderson. So let's focus back on that and go to storm relative velocity and see what the rotation looks like that. And if you hear the rain on the building, I apologize because it is coming down like a cow going to the bathroom on a flat rock outside, and you may be able to hear it in my microphone here. But rotation is now up on the Kingtown area. There is still some semblance of a low-level rotation there, but it's not as tight as what it once was. That's about to cross Highway 101 and then move up here toward the Anderson and Powell areas. We'll see if it holds together, but this is not as organized as it once was about 10 minutes ago. But you always want to do the safe thing in the course of least regret on a day like today, and that is don't take chances with it. Go ahead and go to your safe place. And if there happens to not be a tornado on the ground with it, fine. You did the right thing. You're safe. And then nothing bad happened. But you don't want to risk that and not go to your safe place and then something bad happens. So that's why, even though it's a bit of a marginal looking signature, we ask that you still pay attention. New severe thunderstorm warning for Colbert and Franklin counties. That's for gusty straight line winds moving in to the western parts of the county with the line from the west. We'll focus on that here in a moment. The Baron button is a radar product that combines rainfall rates for heavy rain, hail size, and then rotation strength, all into one radar image. It makes it easier for us to keep track of storms and also to show you where the most dangerous part of the storm is. If there was a stronger low-level rotation here, you would see those hot colors, the reds and the yellows and the oranges, and we don't necessarily see that. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not rotation. That doesn't mean that there's not a concern, but that lets me know that the rotation is broad. And even though you still need to be taking it seriously, it may not be producing a tornado at this time, but that rotation could tighten up at any time and it possibly could produce a tornado. In addition, we have these heavy rains that may cause some street flooding and these cloud to ground lightning strikes. Any thunderstorm has that, and that's a danger. While we're on reflectivity, let's go back to the southwest and look at the new severe thunderstorm warning we have. And this is for storms coming out of southern Tishomingo County in Mississippi. It looks like a gusty straight line wind situation, but that's going to be from Red Bay and Pleasant Sight over toward the Russellville and Littleville areas up to Muscle Shoals. A new severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for gusty straight line winds of up to 60 miles an hour. That's going to include the Cedar Creek Reservoir, the Pogo area, all the way up to Colbert Heights and Hawk Pride Mountain to the south side of Muscle Shoals. We'll look on storm relative velocity, make sure we don't have a tight rotation with it. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. I don't see any signs of rotation. So some gusty straight line winds, yes. Maybe some hail, yes, but no signs of rotation. The only tornado warning we have is this storm that's over the eastern part of Lauderdale County right now, where we have a tornado warning until 7 o'clock. If you guys have any information you need to pass along, please let me know. But as of now, I haven't seen any reports coming in of damage or anything of that nature. So far from these storms, we might be all right, but things could change in just a matter of moments here.
We're looking.
Yeah. And if we go quiet for just a second, that's because we're going over new information just in case. I think we're starting to get out of the range where GWX may not have as good of a view anymore, so we might need to switch to the high top radar to see what that thing looks like.
All right, real quick.
Okay.
Just to do a quick recap, the National Weather Service in Huntsville is continuing this tornado warning for northeastern Lauderdale until 7 p.m. We're going to be watching this cell, and we've been on this because this guy is going to eventually find its way into southwest Giles. And so folks in Minor Hill, south of Pulaski, over towards Stella, Prospect, Elkton, and Ardmore, you need to be really, really aware. Also, folks in the Elkmont area, back toward Lester and Legtown, just to see how this thing is going to behave over the next few minutes. Simultaneously, the National Weather Service in Nashville has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lawrence and Wayne. That's effective until 7 p.m. and you can easily see on radar the wall of water that's consuming really 2/3 of the county at this point, from Pea Ridge and West Point down to Loretto, and then northwest or northeast through Etheridge, and then over into the Pleasant Valley area, and then that crosses into Liberty Hill and then Campbellsville. Taking a peek real quick, nothing is tornadic in that storm as it was earlier. That is now no longer the case, but the storm of concern is the tornado warned storm that is in northern Lawrence or Lauderdale County, and
that's a new severe thunderstorm warning.
Yep, new severe thunderstorm warning coming in.
They've issued another one for Lauderdale and Colbert counties until 7:15. That's going to be right over the Shoals Metro with a storm coming in from the west.
Well, that was the last view from Lexington. Oh, no, it came back. Good. Okay. All right. So the core of that thing must be literally 20 feet from where that camera's at.
Probably so.
Never mind. There it is. It's in Lexington now.
Heck of a lightning show over there.
Yeah, that is a huge show. That's from Lexington, and we'll switch over to take a look real quick at
let's briefly peek at velocity there, and then let's hit the Shoals Metro storm. This doesn't look like, this could change at any moment, but right now at this second, it does not look like a tornadic rotation.
Fred, the National Weather Service in Nashville for this warning in Tennessee for Giles and Lawrence, they're flagging now tornado possible.
Okay.
on this particular storm, and I'm assuming, Brian, it's going to be for...
No, it's the one coming up.
It's the one coming up. They're actually going to extend into their warning area. Yeah, there we go. See?
Okay.
But they're doing it as a severe thunderstorm warning instead of a tornado warning.
Okay.
So it's the one coming up out of the Anderson, Lexington areas.
All right, so that's...
Pretty much right now, if you're in Giles County, Tennessee, from top to bottom, left to right, crest across, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning right now. And then that continues back in the central parts of Lawrence County, Tennessee. Again, that is a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but there are some broad areas of rotation, so they're watching for that. The tornado warning is there in northeastern areas of Lauderdale County, Alabama, but it's not nearly as impressive. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Lauderdale and Culver that's coming right up into the Shoals Metro. So let's look at that real quick and see what's going on. And this is a heavy thunderstorm here coming into Florence, Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals. Maybe some quarter-size hail, some 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving right into the metro now, so maybe if we can take our UNA Skycam.
I'm on it for you right now.
Okay. It gets like mission control working this stuff here once you start getting multiple warnings.
I'm going to swing you around.
Okay.
And I went ahead and turned it back.
Okay.
The other direction here a second ago. So give me just 1 second.
Okay.
The UNA camera is looking toward the southeast at the moment, and you can look in the distance and see the 360 Grill, the Renaissance Tower, out toward the Marriott, and it's very electrical right now in the shoals. So, all right, I am giving you a spin around.
All right.
And you're going to be looking pretty much right into it now.
Okay. And we're not looking for a wall cloud, tornado, or anything like that. This is not a rotating thunderstorm. Just wanted to see what the conditions are like there as we look toward Florence and Sheffield and Tuscumbia and Muscle Shoals. And it looks like a lot of wind and a lot of rain and maybe some small hail moving into the area. And that's a new severe thunderstorm warning there for the Quad Cities in the Shoals metro area and pretty much south central Lauderdale and north central Culver counties until 7:15. That new severe thunderstorm warning for southeast Lawrence, down near the Union Hill area and Rabbit Town and 5 Points and such over into Minor Hill up to Pulaski and southern areas of Giles County. That warning goes until 7:30. The other warning we have, the severe thunderstorm warning for central Lawrence and northern Giles counties in Tennessee, that expires at 7 o'clock. And then until 7 o'clock, we still have this tornado warning that's up for northeastern areas of Lauderdale County near Lexington and Anderson. But I can tell you that the rotation doesn't look nearly as impressive as what it did about 10, 15, 20 minutes ago. So we'll do an overall view here. And you can see we have multiple severe thunderstorm warning polygons here in yellow. It's a stretch from Summertown through Lawrenceburg over to Pulaski, Minor Hill, back down through the Shoals Metro, down to Red Bay and Russellville. Any of these thunderstorms could produce 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds and the potential for quarter-inch hail. This storm in northeastern areas of Lauderdale County has been in broad rotation, but it doesn't look nearly as organized now as it once was. Tornado warning, however, still continues for another 12 to 13 minutes until 7 o'clock, unless they let that expire early. Haven't seen any indication of that at this moment, but we're watching that carefully. Otherwise, that's the only storm that we've really had any tight rotation with the past 30 minutes. Now, this is the same thunderstorm cluster here that's been coming out of northeast Lauderdale County that they issued the severe thunderstorm warning for up toward Pulaski, but that rotation is not tight. Here's a look at Pulaski right now. It is coming down, and you can see out there, this is from University of Tennessee Southern location. They're in town, 66 degrees, dew point 64. It's raining to beat the band right now, and thunder and lightning and such, and any of these storms could produce some 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some quarter-size hail, but the rotations we once had on radar, not really looking nearly as tight now as what they once did. And if I had to guess, tornado threat with that storm in Lauderdale County probably dropping as we speak. Now, we like to give good news here in addition to giving you alerts that you need. And I can tell you now that if you're watching in Tishomingo County, Mississippi, if you're watching up in Hardin County, Tennessee, if you're watching in Wayne County, Tennessee. If you're watching in Lewis County, Tennessee, storms are on past you now and they're moving away and they're over for the night. If I called out those counties, and if you're in those counties I just called out, threats over for the rest of the evening. You're still going to have rain. There could be more rain and thunder later this evening, but severe storms for those counties I called out, the threat's over. It's here generally along and east of Highway 43 now, with these multiple warnings working into the area.
Still no damage reports anywhere. I've got the Pulaski camera pulled up. The reason why I gave it to you, the Giles County EMA director requested that we spin it around and look.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a heck of a storm through Pulaski at this point. Really falling from Giles County or central Giles all the way down through Fall River and Good Spring, through Minor Hill, and then back into southwest Lawrence County, or southeastern Lawrence County. And that's where we see the just really, really intensifying rain.
Did somebody install a car wash on top of our building while we've been on air?
If there's anybody that knows,
sounds like we pushed the building inside of Tidal Wave Auto Spa.
Yeah. If anybody knows folks who do blown insulation, tell them to email me.
That would help.
I'll make you a good deal, because we're going to have to. And again, this is the very first severe weather event in the fully functional, our new building. Bryan had the honor of being the first to do severe weather coverage from a half-built, not necessarily everything working right building when we were still in the construction phase. But yeah, man, it's pretty rough outside here right now.
Yeah, I can say, just looking at this radar image right here, if you're in the part of Lawrenceburg that's north of Locust and west out through the county, your severe threat's over. I know it's still raining like you won't believe, but the gusty straight line wind is always going to be on the leading edge of those storms, and that's off to your east and moving away now. Severe storm threat for the rest of this evening is going to be from Highway 43 eastward, and it's going to end the minute the leading edge of these storms gets on past your area. Ben is doing dual pole rainfall totals he was doing for the past hour. These are rainfall rates, and where you're getting these heavier cores, the rain is coming down 2 to 3 inches an hour. And so what that means is, if that storm sat stationary for a full hour, you'd get 2 to 3 inches of rain out of it.
And of course, right there on the east side of Lawrenceburg, that's like you guys were saying, that's where we are. And if you can hear that, it makes sense that we're seeing those rain totals that high right around here.
And then
I think our audio processing really eliminates that.
Yeah, I would hope so, but either way, it's fun to convey to the audience just how intense this is. And I'll tell you what, we're closer to Mother Nature than ever. We're just right outside this exterior wall, so we're right there with Mother Nature herself. We can hear it, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's besides potential for some gusty straight line winds, that heavy rainfall, and maybe street flooding, one of the main concerns we have right now. So we'll clear that off, go back to reflectivity, or maybe storm relative velocity, and look down on our tornado warning and make sure this thing isn't trying to tighten back up. Don't think it is. Yeah, it's even more disorganized than what it has been here the past few minutes. So I think tornado threat's not gone. And I want to make that clear. It could ramp back up, but for right now, tornado threat with this one storm has really lessened, and then not seeing any signs of low-level rotation at this time with the other storms on the board. Just some gusty winds, some really, really, really heavy rainfall, some cloud-to-ground lightning. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings for eastern areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee, pretty much all of Giles County, Tennessee. Southern areas of Lauderdale County, Alabama, a large part of Colbert County, Alabama now, and northern Franklin County, Alabama, severe thunderstorm warnings, and still officially until 7 o'clock, tornado warning here for the northeast part of Lauderdale County, Alabama, but that threat's really lessened, and I think they are going to be able to let that expire on time. We are getting reported thunderstorm wind damage out of Colbert County, just west of Cherokee. Looks like we have a tree down at Highway 72 where it crosses the Natchez Trace. Tree is not blocking the highway, however, but tree has been knocked down there west of Cherokee in Culver County, where the trace crosses Highway 72. So do have a damage report. Haven't had a lot of damage reports in the area so far with these storms, but we're starting to get them now. And sometimes those just get delayed. So we'll watch that carefully as things continue to go on.
These storms are very electrical. And of course, it doesn't take the electricity to really take down power grid. That's mostly wind related. But every now and then you can have a lightning strike to find a transformer out there, and that creates some issues. But taking a look at our power outage map, actually, no one is without power across the area.
Yeah, I was about to pull up the graph map we have for that and check. Because we have so many new graphics where we can look at these things in new ways.
I've got that pulled up.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And it's really,
nothing.
Yeah. So that is a huge, huge shout out to our utility providers. Just within our viewing area, you've got PES, LUS, Florence Utilities, Mount Pleasant Power, Columbia Power and Water, Duck River Electric, Tennessee Valley Electric in Wayne County and Hardin County, and the list goes on. And those guys have done a wonderful, wonderful job to prepare the grid for events like this, which, you know, after generations of dealing with stuff like this, you know,
we're more resilient than we used to be. Yeah, if there were power outages coming into the system, that would have been colored on that map. And we can go to Lynx 3 for just a second. And we have this broken down by county. If we start seeing power outages.
I will say we do have some information about that.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben, you probably saw what I saw. About,
All right, take radar back, then y'all talk about that.
Bill Phillips here, our friend, 944 customers without power in western Lawrence County, which so it must be just lagging just a few minutes behind here, but that'll catch up. And yeah, EMA is saying 944 without power in West Lawrence County here in southern Middle Tennessee.
All right, so starting to get some power outages now.
And Fred Gossage, you have gone viral this evening by your cow and rock comment. So congratulations.
I'm not surprised.
All right.
Most of us that come out of Alabama are trained by the great James Spann, so there's no telling what will come out of my mouth during tornado coverage.
And Fred Gossage is very, very much that. Our viewers in Giles County, Noah is loaded up in the ark, and he is about to float by you because you have some horribly heavy rain coming down in Pulaski all the way down Highway 11. In fact, right here near the Anthony Hill and Goodspring area, just to the south of Dollar Store, we have a really well-defined hail core, about the same in Pulaski as well.
Let's go to our dual pole hail and make sure that's not just heavy rain, just in case. Because as hard as it's been falling, that's possible.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's also moving
should be
northeast.
Toward the top middle on the product buttons.
Here. Oh, there it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
That is small hail. Just want to make sure it wasn't contradicting. Just want to make sure. What the dual pole radar does is it looks at the radar beam in 3D, vertically and horizontally, and if it thinks that the pixel data in it's shaped like hail, it can tell the difference between raindrops and hail. And if it is hail on this product, it will paint the reflectivity white instead. So just like exactly like what Ben was talking about, that's some small hail coming up there on Tennessee 11 near the Oak Grove area up toward the southwest side of Pulaski. And Ben has that camera live now.
That is the UT Southern camera looking to the southwest. The Giles County Board of Education building is in the foreground there. That is mounted on the side of the Cox Curry Gymnasium at UT Southern.
While we are looking at that, the tornado warning for Lauderdale County is being allowed to expire on time at 7 p.m. So top of the hour, and that tornado warning will no longer be on the board, just severe thunderstorm warnings through the area.
All right, so that's where we stand as of right now. The National Weather Service, again, that warning until 7:30. It is 6:57, the current time. Well, I clicked away from that a moment too soon. Oh my fiddlesticks. Let me go back to it because and see if, oh, no.
Thought our Fort Hill camera might have necromanced itself and came back.
That was the UT Southern camera.
Oh, well, yes, sure is.
You might lightning pretty much just blew it off the side of the building.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that...
Got your work cut out for you, Ben.
Well, time to hunt for another Pulaski camera site then.
It literally, I'm pretty sure that camera just got hit by lightning.
All right.
Goes to show you even the non-severe threats with these things as lightning pours
So to
out
recap
there.
here at the top of the hour, we're going to be down to just severe thunderstorm warnings. That's going to be up for southeastern Lawrence County, Tennessee. Southern Giles, that's going to be until 7:30. Another severe thunderstorm warning in effect for southern Lauderdale and northern Colbert County. The Shoals metro area, that's going to be until 7:15. And the other severe thunderstorm warning down into southern Colbert, northern Franklin, that includes Red Bay, Littleville, Muscle Shoals, Colbert Heights, and the Russellville area. That is going to be until 7:15. And the tornado warnings are gone at this point. So here at the top of the hour, we're about to be tornado warning free. And I'll be honest, haven't really seen any reports of ground truth with damage with the severe thunderstorm warning. So we may not stay here too much longer if we don't get new warnings coming in. We'll hold it here for a few more minutes, though. Make sure something new is not about to come in. Don't see any signs of low-level rotation with any of the storms stretching from Giles County through Lauderdale, Colbert counties. We'll pan back south, go to Columbus Air Force Base Doppler, the GWX radar. No signs of rotation down in the northwest Alabama either. So,
and this one out ahead of it, coming into our area, same situation. It's
gusty storms here, but tornado threat not over yet, but it is starting to step down at this point. And that tornado warning that was up for Lauderdale County has now officially expired.
Yep.
So as of 7 o'clock, no tornado warnings, but we'll watch it carefully. Not seeing them consider any new severe thunderstorm warnings. One thing I am noticing, keep in mind that the upper level winds are kind of southwest and northeast. Now you see that a large part of the line is starting to get parallel to that. That's important because, number one, the line will start to move a little slower and you start to get a heavy rain and the flooding threat involved. The other thing is then your rotation threats and your damaging wind threats are restricted to where you have little segments where the line isn't along that same orientation. So you need them to be, the little segments to be more north to south in order to get a damaging wind threat or tornado threat. We see that to an extent east of the Shoals Metro now, and out here in northern Franklin County, coming up on Russellville. These are the two areas I'm most concerned about the potential for some gusty straight line winds here in these two severe thunderstorm warnings. The line is a lot more parallel up in the Giles County, Tennessee, with the upper level wind flow. And I think here in Giles County, you can't rule out some wind damage with that, but that's really going to reduce that risk. And here so far in our viewing area, we've only had one reported damage out of all these storms so far. So far, so good.
Yeah, and even looking at the live radar here now that we're not so attenuated, you can kind of see the front of this here. And you do have some gusty areas. You can notice if you actually query here in Giles County, you see some 40 mile an hour, some 50 mile an hour mixing the batch. And that's definitely kind of those gusts you want to watch out for that could, topple some trees. That's the small trees that are saturated where there's been a lot of rainfall, and these storms are moving northeast, so you're kind of getting these training storms on top of each other. You're picking up a lot of saturated ground, a lot of rain on not that saturated ground. Really, we still have that drought across the area, so a lot of things to consider there.
But in this area, I think you're switching from more of we're worried about trees coming down toward, it's a bit breezy outside, but it's really more of a heavy rain situation.
Yeah, this is really more of a heavy rain thing than anything else. And that's kind of what we're seeing here too, right? You're not seeing too many areas of those wind gusts even still. But this severe thunderstorm warning, it's a pretty robust storm. We'll have to watch this over the next several minutes as it continues to push north.
Yep. We've had some reports of pea-sized hail in Giles County from EMA near the Minor Hill and Anthony Hill areas in the southern part of the county with that storm as well. But that's about as much as we've had, and no real wind damage reports with these storms here. And we don't have any signs of rotation. So the atmosphere is also starting to cool down a little bit now that we've lost sunshine. We're starting to rain into these areas. And we talked about the past couple of days, so once the line itself gets in here, we may start to see the threat gradually diminish. And threat's not over yet. There's still severe thunderstorm warnings, but the threat may be becoming a lot more marginal now than it was about an hour ago. So, and you can see some of these storms here that have had warnings. Storms are getting near the eastern part of the warnings now, and National Weather Service not yet saying anything about expanding the warnings. So without damage reports, and these are becoming across some big population centers where if there's damage, we're going to know about it, or we're going to see power outages on cameras and such. And that really hasn't been the case down here in Northwest Alabama. So I think a lot of these storms probably aren't really producing damaging winds. They've just had the potential to. So given the marginal nature of the severe thunderstorm warnings now, and the fact that we don't have any tornado warnings in place and we don't see any signs of rotation or any danger like that, I think it's safe to scale back coverage. We'll continue to watch things carefully behind the scenes. Should new warnings come out, we'll have live cut-ins as necessary. And should we see any signs of low-level rotation, or if we get a tornado warning issue, we'll be here nonstop until the danger is over. We're watching it. We're not going anywhere. Just don't want to beat a dead horse, and things are becoming a lot more marginal now in terms of getting damaged than what they were maybe 30, 45 minutes ago. So we'll continue to watch it. For Ben Luna and Bryan Wilson, I'm Fred Gossage, live from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Stay with Tennessee Valley Weather. We'll keep you advised.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley